Good morning. My name's River, and I'd like to first acknowledge that this action is taking place on stolen land of the Wanneroo people. And today we are on Wanneroo country, which is near so-called Newcastle. And, well, today I'm attached to a god line up above. I'm sitting in a Boyson's chair, and my god line is running all the way to the end of that dirty coal line, which is down there. It's a bit too dark at the moment for people to see properly, but hopefully, all things going well, we'll stay up here for a while, so we'll be able to get a better view of things. Um, it's really challenging to be. Sorry, I've just got a verification code. I'm going to read. Have to remember that number. Sorry about that brief interruption. Just had to message some people, but we're back now. So I guess action and protests in general aren't really doing too much to work because, well, our governments let us, go have a rally in the streets. They authorize it, and it doesn't really affect them too much. And so, you know, when we do direct action like this, when we tie onto the train lines and block not only coal lines but also passenger trains incidentally, we're trying to send a message that it's time to fucking stop digging up coal and exporting it around the world. Today I am a bit further away, but still blocking the direct line to the world's largest coal port in the world in Australia. It's just incidental that it's here, and it's quite a shame that we are in this year and still fucking mining coal, still sending it on dirty coal trains, and incidentally burning our planet and all who live on it. We exploit everything that, well, we can see. And as a white settler, I'd like to acknowledge that my role to play in this cannot be through decolonialization, cannot lead decolonialization, but can only ally in decolonialization and make sure. Exactly. Make sure that we can live in a better world and have better community than what is currently happening. We're only going to be disrupting this for like a short time today. Well, that's really depending on how long they take to get me down from here, but that's up to them. We've got a couple little tricks coming up later, but we'll wait until that. Just going to take a brief pause to check a message, and then I'll be right back. Cool. We're back, and I guess it's important taking these direct actions that directly disrupt and stop the exploitation of coal for a short period of time. Relatively, of course. It's anecdotal in the sense that we are showing people what needs to be done to actually ascertain the goals we want to achieve. If we want to live in a better world, if we want to have a better community, we need to. Yeah, got pink hair, got pink and purple, all the nice punk colors. But that's not really in the point. And I don't have a nose ring. I've seen other comments being like, "Oh, there's people with nose ring." I really want one though. It's coming. I guess the important thing is to show that ordinary people can just come out here and block fucking coal trains and stop them from running and really piss off our governments. Considering that, first responders will show up here at some point. They're not here yet. I've only just got up here. Nah, I'm all good. I don't need to. I have climbed up here safely and strapped myself onto a coal train. I guess if you can't see the reason why I'm doing this, then it's kind of too late, but please try to see what we're doing here and make that action happen within your own community and within your own circles, because it can't happen without all of us coming together and directly making this change and making it happen. The coal trains won't stop themselves. The system won't stop itself. You can't face any of it against itself. And if we keep on writing letters, if we keep on calling our MPs, if we keep on trusting that electoral politics will lead to some form of change, then frankly, I think we're dreaming a little bit. And I think we need to do a lot more than just sit and wait idly as our world burns and we watch our grandchildren die early or live a significantly more horrible life because of our inaction. Yeah, chicks can have deep voices too. Doesn't really matter. I'm trying to get the higher voice going, but it's not happening yet. It'll happen at some point. Doesn't really matter though, because fucking gender's a construct, and who cares how you sound? You're just trying to get attention, and I'm up here blocking the fucking coal train. So what are you gonna do about it? I guess you can see a little bit more now. It's a beautiful sunrise. Still way too dark to see over here, but I've got a banner over there. It's reading "Liberation from Australian Exploitation." And I find it fitting because all of these struggles and all of these things are connected. It's not just about stopping coal. It's not just about stopping gas or oil. It's about stopping the system of oppression that represses and does everything to stop change and stop any real action from happening. And so I find it's really important that we get out here and do more of this. And, if you're disrupted by this in a passenger train and stuff like that, well, blame the fucking government for putting coal trains and passenger trains on the same line. Because, my goal here isn't to block passengers from getting to work. I mean, if you're late to your meetings, who cares? Sit for a little bit longer, listen to a couple more songs, and think about the fact that we still export fucking coal and still dig up coal in 2024. But hey, it isn't really surprising because we're still under this same colonial system. This land is stolen and sovereignty was never ceded, and this always was and always will be Aboriginal land. And I think it's so important that we stop treating this so-called country that we, well, so-called Australia, as something that we can just keep on tapping and pillaging. Because, well, you can't do that forever. And clearly, your level of disruption and level of, I don't know, annoyance to things, how does that affect you when a bushfire wreaks havoc through your town and burns down your house, or a flood floods you out? Because, well, this system is the one causing a lot of those problems. These aren't just natural disasters anymore. They're directly impacted and directly manufactured by these corporations and our government systems. The government doesn't want change. Political parties are all complicit in colonialism. Even the most leftist political parties are complicit in colonialism because it's still utilizing the same system of electoral politics. Earlier this year, I ran for Brisbane City Council with the Greens, and I think it's really important at a local level to have a sense of community structure, but the way that that has been exploited and the way that that has continuously been used to undermine and uphold corporations and capitalism is frankly disgusting. And trying to get any form of change through those systems is so fucking hard and takes so long, to the point where even when you get the minutest slimmer of that change, it feels like it's already too late. And frankly, currently it is too late. We have passed the stage where irreversible damage has been done. Like, how can we not all see that this is fucked, and that, oh, I can hear a train horn in the distance. I hope it doesn't come and cut my line. That would be funny. Oh. If it does, then that's the end of this stream, but, you know, that's fine. I think it's really important that we do this direct action, because years ago, if you had a bad talk to a politician or something like that, people would say, "Oh no, we trust those politicians. They say the truth. They say things that are truthful, that mean something. They're a figure of authority and power." But now, if you say a politician's full of shit, most people will be like, "Yeah, no, they are. We don't believe them. We don't really understand why they do what they do, but we still vote for them. We still take in all of their messaging and ads." And I guess, like, when do we stand up and say enough is enough, and you can't keep on doing this? You can't keep on beating up teenagers, shooting them, and then getting a medal and a promotion. You can't keep on letting cops have guns and, oh, but just give them a little bit of extra training and then they can have their gun. But frankly, a lot of that can just be abused and ticked and flicked. Like, anyone doing any of the, tick and flicks in the cop force, they will just do it anyway. They don't really care about that extra training. They don't really care about gun safety or anything like that. All they're interested in is upholding a system that kills us all. And, I'm in a couple of hours, hopefully, I'll be taken away, thrown into a watch house, discriminated about my gender, I'll probably be put into a male cell or just one on my own, and cops will probably not give a shit about the sort of gender I'm choosing. And if you want to know, I use they, she pronouns, but I don't really care if you listen to that or really care about that, because I'm happy with it. And that's all that matters. You know, gender isn't what other people are comfortable with, it's what you are comfortable with. And if you can be strong within yourself, then no matter how much force is put up against you, you can stand still and stand up for yourself and keep on fighting, because just stop watching, mate. There's so many other things to be doing. What are you doing at 5 a.m.? It's hilarious. You know, what I'm doing at 5 a.m. is blocking a coal train, stopping thousands of tons of coal from going in and out of the coal port. In fact, in a couple of weeks or in like a week or so, these lines are going to be shut down for track works. And so these coal companies are pumping them through as fast as they possibly can, just to try gain up a little bit of extra profit, just so what they can keep our planet burning, keep the irreversible climate crisis happening. Well, sorry, too bad. We're going to keep on blocking your coal trains. We're going to keep on blocking your coal lines. And I guess this action really shows that organizing within your communities can have real effective change. And, you know, the coal trains will run after this, but it still shows that you can actually get shit done. You just go out and do it. And I think that's a good thing to do. I really admire people who have done this, and people who have come before me and people who will come after me, because this isn't just one person doing all of this. This is a whole community of people. This is more and more of us understanding and, you know, I guess waking up to the fact that, well, the system isn't broken. It's actually working perfectly as intended. And as it is intended is to fuck us up. And it's to try to detach us from our communities and make it so we can't stand up and fight. The more we fight, the more they repress us. The more we stand up for our rights, the more they say, oh, you can't do that. That's against the rules. You know, that's too disruptive. You're causing economic disruption. Well, I'm meaning to cause economic disruption. That's kind of the point. You know, the premier of the state will complain about us putting our lives in danger. Well, you're fucking putting your life in danger every single day that you sit and do nothing idly by because of the systems that hold this in place. So I don't think I'm putting myself in any more danger. I'm just bringing up an umbrella so this camera doesn't get too wet, because I want to be able to do this for something. And yes, it does have emojis on it. It's funny. Enjoying the angry faces. Keep them coming. But yeah, we have to have system change, because otherwise we won't be able to get we won't be able to see any meaningful action or change in our lifetimes. And I understand and accept that I probably won't see the overall goals and the overall things that I strive for and the politics that I believe in my lifetime, but I believe that if I take as much action as I can, we can actually try work towards that and make that easier for others to do in the future. Just putting this away now because I realize it's sort of part of the whole. No. Yeah. And I guess it's really sad to see so many people still not understand why this happens, and like even people on, in these sort of spaces still being angry at this. It's like, well, I'm sorry, but I thought the point of this was to stop the coal from getting exported, and whatever consequences come out of that, whether it's blocking passenger trains, whether it's putting your life somewhat at risk, I think it's still for the betterment of, well, our communities and our world. Because if no one does it, then nothing happens, and we stay complicit in these systems of injustice. And I use quotations because injustice is such a subjective term. It can be like used in so many different ways, but I guess I'm using it in a sense of it just feels wrong not to support this sort of thing. Yeah, of course I can. So now that things are more light, I can actually show more surroundings. Just trying as hard as I can not to drop this phone, because otherwise, some people would love me to drop this phone, because then this live stream would stop. But so down there is the coal line, and that's the light that's pointing on me. You can see there's sort of the banner over there. There's more stuff that way. And further around there is the line again. Now, I guess the original goal here was to... it says... The banner says, liberation from Australian exploitation. And if you're just joining, my name is River. I am a former Greens council candidate. And I guess as a way to say sorry for running is to come out and do direct action, because, well, electoralism only works so far, and you can only vote on things every 3 to 4 years, and then once your MP is in power, then that MP isn't really listening to the community, but more so listening to the members of the community who are heavily involved in big business and lobbying, and they're the ones who get the say at the end of the day. Our governments aren't actually really run by representatives of our community. They're run by representatives of big corporate capitalist colonial interests. And our more left-wing parties are still complicit in that, because they struggle to push more radical policy through. They struggle to understand that nothing can really happen if you ask for it, but you have to physically take it, because it's not like they are really willing to give away their comforts. It's not like people are really willing to give away the amount of money that this exploitative system makes. And so the only way you can really change that and stop that is by directly standing up, putting your body on the line, and forcing that change to happen. Thank you. And so I guess it's just important that we all come and we all organize and we all block our exploitative systems from continuing. We shouldn't just be blocking coal lines, we should be blocking coal mines. We shouldn't just be blocking coal mines, we should be halting corporations from disrupting our communities, from repressing our peoples. And I guess that can't happen through asking nicely anymore. I think we've asked nicely a lot of times, and frankly, personally, I think that we're being quite restrained in these actions. You know, I'm not hurting anyone else. I'm not putting on anyone else's life at risk. I'm not even really putting my own life at risk. I've got a safety harness on. I am attached to a prosix here. And, well, yes, I am directly on this guard line. Hopefully the police won't cut it. But, you know, that's up to them. And they will come and say that they have a job to do, yada, 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 and all that bullshit that pigs say. But they don't understand that we have a job to do here, which is even more serious than their jobs, which is just to lock people up and exploit and enforce so-called laws made by lawyers and parliamentarians who are voted in by lobby groups, so inadvertently made from the source of these colonial interests. And we need to remember that was the British Empire that colonized this land and stole it from the indigenous people of it, and never gave anything for that, never really helped that, but more so just continued repressing and oppressing and beating down to uphold their interests. It's blatant colonialism, and we see it happening today, especially in Palestine, where we have the illegal terrorist state of Israel, so-called Israel, occupying and committing mass genocide onto the Palestinian people in Gaza and West Bank, in all of occupied Palestine. And we sit idly by and let it happen. I've been going to marches every single week, and it's disheartening to see this still happen. It's disheartening to see, no matter how much we scream and no matter how much we call for the complete liberation for the Palestinian people, it still happens, and it's still being committed, and all of our governments are complicit in genocide. Our government is extremely complicit in genocide. These coal ports, these lines would transport weapons that go to the ports, you know, not necessarily out of the so-called Newcastle port, because it's mainly a coal port, but, you know, these lines lead to other places, and those places lead to occupied Palestine, where so-called Israel can commit atrocity after atrocity backed by our colonial interests. And, you know, our government will say, oh, but it's a two-state solution. But that's sort of missing the whole point of, hey, why the fuck are you occupying this land in the first place? Why are you illegally here? Why are you instead of trying to live in harmony with the people who are native to that area, locking them up, putting them in, placing a system of apartheid, oppressing and mass murdering them? And, well, I think the reason why they're doing that is because they know that they're in the wrong, and they know that if they don't do that, or they think that if they don't do that, then they won't be able to do this. And well, our country is the exact same, just a lot has just happened a lot more and for a really long time as well. And I struggle to sit and stay lying awake without mobilizing, without going out and making direct action, because I think that if we don't, then everything is just going to continue the way it is and nothing is going to change. Interesting question. So do you prefer nuclear power over coal? What's the alternative? Well, the alternative isn't really nuclear power, because nuclear power still has a level of waste. The alternative isn't, hey, let's just have the same capitalist system but under green energy and all that shit, and like green jobs and shit like that. No, we can actually live within our means without using and consuming so much fucking stuff. We don't need to constantly consume. We don't need to constantly have energy. We don't need to constantly pillage and take from this land that isn't even ours. The way you can fix this is by changing the way you live, and it's not very hard. You can live within your means while living in harmony with this planet, while respecting this planet and respecting this land and trying to learn from it, not harm it. And the only way we can learn from it is from the indigenous people of this land. We can't learn from it through ourselves, because this isn't our land. This isn't where we are native to. We have forcibly come in here, we've settled here, and then we take and then we expect for all of these things to just happen for us. We live such privileged lives that throwing any form of alternative in the air is seen as, well, futile or impossible, when realistically it's actually very possible. It's actually very easy to see this happen. And if you can't really see a system without cops, without a justice system, without prisons, please step aside, because you're just taking away from the actual work that needs to be done and can be done, because a lot of us have work to do. And there's a pretty good song line from a song called Cops that have sort of inadvertently used, but yeah, consuming ourselves to death, exactly. We are, and even if you don't see that, it's what's happening. You can be ignorant to something and yet it will still continue happening. Like, I think for so long I was very blind to a lot of things and really comfortably living in privilege, and I'm still extremely privileged. I'm privileged to be able to be up here and block this. It's a great opportunity, but it's really important to remember that we utilize that through every means that is to strive towards breaking down the pillars that uphold this system and ensuring that no matter how hard more repression gets and how much they want to stop us from doing this stuff, it just sort of shows that they're a lot more scared, and it shows that the work that we're actually doing is having an effect and is driving change, because well, clearly they wouldn't be doing anything if it wasn't affecting them. And I've heard that, like, stopping a coal train every hour causes something like $1.6 million of damages. Now, of course, these are hyperinflated numbers that they use in court cases to try put more charges onto you, but I like the fact that we are disrupting the economic system. It's a method to actual politics through a fairly restrained way, quite a peaceful way. You know, I'm not doing any damage here. This tree's perfectly fine with me sitting on it, and I'm quite comfortable up here and not very cold, surprisingly. And, so just waiting for anyone to show up, and hasn't happened yet, which is quite surprising, and I'm pretty glad about that because it'd be nice to stay up here for as long as it takes to, well, help encourage more people to organize within ourselves, because it's not really that hard. If you're motivated and if you get together with the right sort of people, we can actually make this change happen. It's not all pipe dreams. I remember dreaming that I would never be able to do something like this, and yet I'm up here tied onto a coal line, blocking coal trains. Now, the original goal was for me, was to have a train stop and tie onto that, but it's still making the same effect, still causing the same problems. You can see a little bit. Oh yeah, you can see the line there through the trees and all that, through all the shrubs. Yeah, it's nice. It's a lot more peaceful this way. All I could hear this morning was coal trains coming past, and it's nice to put a stop to that. So yeah, I can hear all the birds and nature actually singing, and listen to something that isn't dirty fucking coal making its way to the world's largest coal port to, well, continue burning down our planet and everything we know and love. It's a quite a lovely location, actually. I am really pleased to be here, and I'm of sound mind, and I'm just glad to be doing this. And I think that everyone should have a go at this. Everyone should do this because it's not really that hard, and I think a lot of work needs to be done to make these spaces more accessible for all, because the more accessible we can be to everyone, the more change we can make, the better we can be at mobilizing, the better we can all be at creating direct change and direct action. Put a Mandarin up there for later. I've actually written a poem down. Just gonna try to find it in my bag of things. It's good to have a little kit with you, because if you want to stay up here for a while, then you need to have things with you to make sure that you can, all the work you put into getting up here can go to directly causing that action. And did a little drawing. It says, lock on tight to that dirty coal line. And I guess I should be able to read this poem. That is surprisingly standing quite still there. I don't fully trust it standing still there without falling or anything, but hey, it's working so far. And that alone is pretty good. I'm gonna zip this up a little bit. Sorry about the shaking of the camera. I understand that is a bit disruptive to people. But hey, what's more disruptive than blocking a coal line? Well, a lot of things, but they come with extra charges. Anyway, block, block, block. Put your body on the line, and if you cut it, I will die. Die to stop this coal train. Die to stop the exploitation of this land. Die to show others what has to be done. Your safety is already at risk. Jumping in front of a coal train is no more risky than standing still waiting for a fire to hit their house, waiting to get flooded out, waiting for the end. The system isn't broken, but perfectly working as intended. That's why it has to be stopped. The more they come after us means they're scared of us. It has to be stopped. Every letter written, every rally marched that has been allowed by the state means they aren't affected by it. It has to be stopped. Why can't you see the more we disrupt the usual means, the more we make it impossible to continue the status quo and the business as usual? It means we're getting closer to seeing a world without repression and exploitation. The system won't burn itself down and needs us to light the match. That's one part of it for now. I can read the rest a little bit. I like to spread it out a little bit, and stuff like that. I think that the time I spent running for politics was, there's a really nice sunrise over there. And I reckon it's going to move a little bit more this way to get in the background, because it is quite nice. I think that the time that I spent running for politics was good because, well, it sort of forcefully showed me that, like, if you run on all the policies that you enjoy, if you run for what you believe in, you still can't make that direct change because, well, it's only dependent on how many people vote for you, and then it's only dependent on how many of your party members are in the council or in parliament. Then it's only dependent on, if your party will actually listen to what I feel like is reasonable policy, what I feel like is reasonable things that we should be doing, like trying to abolish these so-called justice systems that only go to repress and discriminate against those who aren't privileged enough. And I guess it's just frustrating, but not really surprising that you see parties and you see all things just keep on getting bogged down by the same processes, by the same arguments, by the same level of discourse that ultimately goes to shut down more progressive, more radical policy. And personally, I believe that policy and asking for change and asking for things doesn't really work anymore, and you can only really affect it and only really have it if you directly take it. We can't continue just sitting on our hands and knees begging for change, because it won't happen if we beg. It won't happen if we just do nothing, sit in meetings, talk about different policy changes, talk about tinkering around the edges, because the more you tinker around the edges, you miss the systematic root problem of these things. Like the police service was made to protect property of capitalism, and they're definitely being called. They're definitely trying to find where I am right now, and the only reason why they're doing that isn't for my safety. They're not really interested in my safety at all, because they'll threaten all sorts of things of me and try to have fun with it, and they don't care. All they care about is making these coal lines and making these coal trains continue. I think that's really fucked, because I don't know. We sit in our party structures, we sit in our political structures and see a world where we can have this sort of change we want to see, but still in the same systems that we're running in. How can that happen? You can't reform the police service to stop murdering children, because you're missing the systematic root problem of it. I think all cops are bad, not because, each and every single one of them is a fucking terrible person, which, I believe that's true, but it's because the system that they choose to uphold is fundamentally fucked and is the main thing that goes on to oppress us all. And tinkering around that isn't really going to drive that change we all want to see. Yeah. I guess I'm going to read the rest of this poem. Suspended on a rope, being pulled along, up, 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 pulled through exploitation, pulled through repression, pulled through a system that oppresses, a system that puts the needs of an economy that was built on stolen land, built on anti-community, and built to silence all forms of resistance. We fight, we block, we lock on to stop the system, lock on to stop the economic destruction of the land we stole. As settlers, we can't lead to colonialization, but only aid in our allyship and solidarity. The system can't be changed with itself, can't be changed by electoralism every 3 to 4 years with weak policy from parties who can't make up their mind whether they want to see a world without capitalism, without exploitation, without repression, and without police and a justice system, without prisons. Let the cops keep their guns. It'll be okay. They have extra training. There's no way they will abuse their powers, respond to a domestic violence case, and give the abuser a slap on the wrist. Don't do it again, buddy. It's not like he'll choke them when we leave. We can't. Why can't you see the roots of this problem? Why can't you see that tinkering around the edges is only going to uphold the violence, uphold the repression? You can't fix this. You can only burn this. Nothing can be kept. No one is free until we are all free. If you live comfortably while others say they're being oppressed, you can't tell them their experience is wrong. Just because you don't get affected doesn't mean the problems don't exist. It just means you live in a heightened privilege, and Your ignorance upholds the repression of others and the continuation of a system that burns our planet and kills those it oppresses. Change can't happen through parties and letters to MPs. Change happens through direct action, through physical disruption. Light a torch and throw it on the systems of oppression. Don't just stop the coal trains, derail them. Block the tracks, pour the concrete and burn down the bridges linking to the ports. Permanent destruction to these systems is justified as every day we don't act, we get closer and closer to losing everything we know and love. There you go, that's my little poem. It's called Locking On Tight to That Dirty Coal Line. Ooh. First responders! Yay! They're over there. You can see him pull up. There you go. Sorry. There's rail workers. I'll probably test them soon, but they're fine. They're not doing anything at the moment. You know, we can chat to them later. I guess I find it really disheartening to still see people not understand why we do this and still want to continue this sort of back and forth cat and mouse misunderstanding of why we, go and block these systems. Because why don't you understand the? And I'll use a quote from a song I know. Why don't you understand you can't face the cops against themselves? Why don't you understand you can't fight? Well, why don't you understand the judge won't prosecute himself? And why don't you understand you can't fight the system with itself? I feel like that's sort of what I've been talking about a lot more and more because, well, it's the way that it is at the moment. Oh no, it is the police. Yeah, interesting. Okay, well, they're over there. I'm over here. They can't really get to me right at the moment. Taking some photos. You got some fans over there. See your artwork up close, please. Oh yeah, sure, absolutely. There you go. I've taken a photo of it and all of that, so when the police burn it, which will get rid of it, which they will, I can still disseminate it and still post it online, so it can still exist out there in the world without, them directly affecting it. It's really interesting. I think I've done a lot of talking now. I'm going to play a little bit of my harmonica. This is the sound of a coal train getting stopped. at the end was the horn, but you know, I didn't hear that. I actually didn't hear any horns this morning, which is surprising. I'm not that good at harmonica. I could sing a song that I know. Down at the metro mine. Down at the metro mine. Who's gonna lie on that hard rail line? Stop Peabody's coal digging crime. Coal mining takes your life away. It's a dead end job, I say. Get dust on your lungs, get a coal blackened tongue, and dead planet back with your pay. Who's got a padlock and chain? Who's got a padlock and chain? Locking on tight to that coal train tonight. Tell me who's got a padlock and chain? From Wollongong people do you dread? Yes, Wollongong people do you dread? That sound up on the hill, yes, that's Peabody's drill, cracking through your drinking riverbed. Yes, people is digging up that coal. The people is digging up that coal. Gonna lie it down on the track and make pull of a coal back, 'cause nobody should be digging up coal. Who's got a padlock and chain? Who's got a padlock and chain? Locking on tight to that coal train tonight. Tell me who's got a padlock and chain? I mean you, that leader in crime. He's CEO with Peabody Mines. Mr. Gregory H. Boys, he's the leader of choice, for his greed will make him pay in time. Yeah, we'll be standing in court one day. We'll be standing in court one fine day. We'll hear the judge's voice say, Mr. G.H. Boys, for your crimes you now must pay. Now tell me who's got a padlock and chain? Who's got a padlock and chain? Locking on tight to that coal train tonight. Tell me who's got a padlock and chain? We gotta break the law. Yeah, we gotta break the law. When the lawyers design for those Peabody swine, no, we've all got to break that law. I tell you now, we got concrete that's ready to go. Oh, we got concrete that's ready to go. Gonna pour it good and fine across that dirty coal line and make it set before the police show. Who's got a padlock and chain? Who's got a padlock and chain? Locking on tight to that coal train tonight. Tell me who's got a padlock and chain? There we go. Thank you for enduring my horrible singing and that song. It was just something I really wanted to do up here. And especially while there were cops who could probably listen to that. So that's fun. They're sort of just sitting over there and I think deliberating and talking about what they want to do next. I don't know. It'll take them a while to get me down from here. That's fun. Oh well. That's their job to do. They're doing it poorly because I don't know. I think it's just best not to pay any attention to them because, like, the more we give them the attention, the more we give them the satisfaction, the more we legitimize their existence, the more we uphold their so-called authority, their so-called means of justice and serving it for the betterment of the community, when realistically all they're doing is just protecting and upholding capitalism and protecting and upholding these fucking coal trains, continuing